Hey, what's going on? I'm Matty Hundo, and it's time for episode 3 of Keepin' It a Hundo. So far, so good. Nobody's told me I need to stop doing these things, so I guess I'm going to ride it until the wheels fall off. Or at least until I realize nobody's listening. So to the dozens, and I mean dozens, of listeners across the world, thank you for subscribing. But I need more of you to do so. So when you listen, please click subscribe. It's free. Why wouldn't you? You can find Keepin' It a Hundo on the Apple Podcast app. And for those of you who aren't brainwashed by Apple like the rest of us, you can find Keepin' It a Hundo on Google Play Music or SoundCloud. Some of you guys had some cool stuff to say about last week's show with Terry DeHare. A lot of people were saying it brought back memories growing up, playing ball, watching the Big East. I think it's because Terry kind of embodied hoop in the 90s. This week's show is with a current NFL quarterback, Oakland Raider EJ Manuel. He's an up-and-coming talent, and he's a great dude. And he's also a close friend of mine. So I hope you enjoy our conversation. So back in 2014, my friend and quarterback guru, Steve Cutter Calhoun, was visiting Miami from Southern California. He was there to work out one of his quarterbacks. It was the NFL offseason, and he asked me if I wanted to go with him to work out this kid, EJ Manuel. As some of you know, I'm a proud graduate of the University of Miami. I knew EJ had played at our rival, Florida State, and he beat us every time we played. And I knew he had just finished a solid rookie year with the Buffalo Bills after being a first-round pick. Other than that, I didn't really know anything about him. Steve told me he was a great kid, and I figured it was a chance to meet some prospective Hundo Health and Fitness clients. So after a good session on the field with EJ and a couple receivers, we started talking. EJ was new to Miami. He was just down there for the off-season. So that night, me and Steve met up with EJ at the Marlins game. I don't think we watched one pitch of that game. We were too busy having fun. And we've been friends ever since. He's somebody I can count on and trust. I think he appreciates my old age, or should I say wisdom. So sometimes he looks to me for advice. A lot of people have asked me how we know each other. I met most of my closest friends, if not all of them, on a field or a court. So EJ is no different. He just happens to be entering the prime of an NFL career. You can be sure you'll be hearing more from EJ Manuel in years to come. He's only scratched the surface of his potential. We're here today with Oakland Raiders quarterback EJ Manuel. It's Super Bowl week. We're in Miami. The Super Bowl is not in Miami, but the sun is.
Yes.
And so is my good friend EJ.
Yes. What's going on, bro?
Good to have you here, man.
Good to be here.
Since I started this new podcast venture, I definitely been wanting to get on with you. You have a lot of good things to say. We want to hear a little bit about your past. Mm-hmm. And what you plan on doing with the next few years of your life.
Awesome.
So you got John Gruden now.
Yep.
You met John back probably around like draft time or something when you were getting combine and all that stuff.
Yeah. The first time I met Coach Gruden was at the Gruden QB camp, which most of the top QBs coming out in the draft get a chance to go and work with Coach Gruden for a day. And he gave me his phone number back then, been in touch with him ever since. You know, obviously he was doing commentating and things like that, but, you know, the fact that he's now the head coach of the Oakland Raiders, as a young quarterback myself, that's very exciting. You know, you want to learn from a great coach like that, someone who's proven, and someone who's coming in to get things fixed instead of, you know, because we have all the talent in the world on that team. I think it's just a matter of us all as, you know, players and coaches putting everything together.
And he's always been a guy he's like a quarterback expert.
Right.
He deals with quarterbacks. That's his thing. So you don't have a defensive coach coming in. I think you've played for pretty much defensive coaches, defensive-minded coaches in your career.
My first coach was a offensive line coach.
Okay.
And offensive coordinator background. And my second coach was a defensive coordinator, like you said. And then my third coach was also a defensive coordinator. So, yeah, I never thought about it that way, but you're right.
Yeah, should be a good change.
Yep.
So going back to let's go back to the draft time, and you went to Florida State, had a great career there. We'll touch on some of that later. But coming out, you had pretty high expectations. I remember reading things and hearing things like not just about your physical ability, which everybody was blown away by, but your character and your personality. They said on that alone, this guy's worth a shot. Mm-hmm. And then you also were top of the draft class in almost every category at the combine. Did you feel a lot of pressure coming in?
What, when I got drafted?
Yeah. So you were slated to go first round. You did go first round. You're the first quarterback taken. And did you feel a lot of weight on your shoulders? Did you feel it was a lot of pressure for you?
The way I saw it, I went from Florida State where, we had a great team. I had a great supporting cast. I had a great, head coach. I had a great coaching staff behind me. And, I get to Buffalo, and it's polar opposites as far as, the city. I go from Tallahassee to Buffalo, New York. Tallahassee is nice and hot. Buffalo, New York is not, so all those things in, correlation with the football part. Football is football at the end of the day. You have, good coaches. Everybody's great in that league. Everybody's smart. Nathaniel Hackett was my offensive coordinator, and Coach Doug Marrone, and they're both with Jacksonville now. They had a great season this year, and it was their first year in the NFL coming from Syracuse. So I felt like we were all kind of learning at the same time, trial and error. And, I wasn't necessarily brought in to start right away. I remember them wanting to, groom me and, let me grow behind Kevin Cobb. And, for lack of better words, it seemed like Kevin, by that time was kind of checked out. He had made his money in Arizona and Philly, and I think that might have been his 8th or 9th year in the league. And, I played well in the preseason and training camp. So I obviously showed that I had the ability to go out there and play and lead. So did I feel pressure? Of course, because, it's not so much pressure as in negative pressure. It was more so in I'm putting pressure on myself to demand greatness for myself, at the same time trying to learn and try different things and fix things and, being coached by different people and all that. So in a new area, in a new city, which, you got to throw the ball a little different in Buffalo versus Tallahassee, you know what I mean? So all those things in correlation, it wasn't easy. But, early on, man, I was handling it, and I, unfortunately got hurt in the preseason. Not many people remember that. I tore my meniscus versus the Vikings in our second preseason game. Had a great first preseason game, started versus Indy, led us down the field, threw a touchdown. I remember the second preseason game, played really well versus the Vikings in Buffalo, and got hurt on the sideline. And I finished the game, but the next day my knee was swollen, and I had to get surgery. I had to get like a scope. So I missed the next 2.5, 3 weeks of development, and I was able to be back by week 1.
For a rookie, that's tough.
It's very
you're
tough.
Still learning.
Bro, I missed 2 weeks. 3 weeks of crucial time where I could have continued to hone in my skills and continue to learn the playbook. Literally, I'm still learning the playbook. I just got drafted like 4 months before this. So. As a rookie, I think it was asking a lot, but when you get drafted in the first round, that's what you're expected to go in there and do. Some guys have the luxury to go and sit back and learn for 3-4 years. I didn't have that luxury. So
they put you right in, gave you the keys, and told you to drive.
Yep, told me to drive.
So when you're coming out, let's go back to the draft process. You visited with a few teams. Where did you have a sense of where you were going to go, or was it you saw everything from top 10 to middle of the first round,
sure,
late first round?
I had a feeling that I would go to a team that I felt like I matched their offensive scheme. So at that time, Chip Kelly was at the Eagles. I thought I might have went to the New York Jets where Coach Ryan was there. Had a great meeting with him. David Lee, who ended up being my coach my 3rd and 4th year in Buffalo. He was my quarterback coach. Liked both of those guys a lot. Loved the Jets. Loved, the ability to play in New York City, as a young guy was really exciting to me. I obviously had a great meeting with the Bills. Their entire staff came to they came to Tallahassee and did like a private workout before my pro day. Took me out to dinner.
Did they tell you they were going to take you if you were there?
The Jets told me that they would take me. if I was there. And I literally remember Coach
And they were
Ryan,
right after the Bills?
They were right after the Bills. Actually, no. So they had 2 first-round picks that year. They took, I think, Sheldon Richardson, and then they took D. Milner from Alabama.
Richardson went like top 5 or something?
Yeah, I want to say Rich went like 6.
Okay.
And then D. Mill went like 13 or 14.
Okay.
And then the Bills had the 9th pick, and they traded back and picked me at 16.
Okay.
So once they traded back, I had a feeling that might be something they were doing to try to get me and then try to get like another 2nd-round pick or something like that. I think that's what they did. They traded back and then got an extra 2nd-round pick. That's how we were able to get Kiko and Robert Woods.
Yep.
You know, Robert, really both of those guys could have been first-rounders.
Yep.
You know what I mean, in my opinion.
And they're both having good careers.
And they're both having great careers. And so, you know, that's kind of how it worked out.
Let's go back to Bayside High. Mm-hmm. You were the Black AC Slater. Tell them where you're from.
I'm from Virginia Beach. Most of us call it the 757. That's our area code. We're very, very, very proud of where we come from as athletes. You know, some of the greats have, you know, come from out of there. Bruce Smith, Alonzo Mourning, Allen Iverson, Joe Smith, Ronald Curry, and then some of the current guys, myself, Percy Harvin, Tyrod Taylor, Cam Chancellor, Kyle O'Quinn.
You grew up playing against a lot of these kids, the last few guys you named.
Played against all those guys.
In, like, different youth sports.
Exactly. Like, I've known Tyrod since 6th grade. I've known Percy since 4th grade.
Which is really interesting because nobody's ever mentions that. When you and Tyrod were battling for the QB job, nobody said anything about, oh, these two guys known each other for a long time. It's never been a thing, which is interesting because that's a compelling story.
No question. It's definitely, and a lot of people don't know. I think people, you know, they're still used to like the Floridas, the Texases, the Californias, and they don't necessarily think when they think of powerhouse football or like great athletes like, oh, Virginia Beach or Hampton or Norfolk or, you know, it's the 7 cities. It's called Hampton Roads. And so, you know, they don't always think about it. But I think now, you know, going into 2018, I think more people are awoken by the kind of talent that we have coming from out of there because of guys like ourselves. You know, we've made, you know, some noise in the NFL and at the pro ranks and obviously made money and been able to take care of our families.
Staying with the Hampton Roads area, you just mentioned Bruce Smith. What was your relationship like with him growing up?
Growing up, my dad and Bruce were childhood friends from like 3rd grade on. They played on Little League basketball, football teams together. So they've known each other pretty much all their lives. And I met Bruce. I remember, I guess when I actually met him from when I can remember, I was 5. And I just saw Little Giants, the movie, and you know Bruce is in there like crushing the football and all that. And I was a little kid, man, and I'm looking up at him, and Bruce was still playing at the time, so he was ripped up, swole, huge. And I just remember like looking up at him and staring, and his house was massive, and you know it was really cool. And he signed a football for me, and at that time I didn't know even what I was getting. You know what I'm saying? I'm pretty sure I took that ball and went home and played outside with it or something like that. But you know I wish I had kept it. But yeah, he's been there honestly every step of the way since, you know, from like middle school on. You know, once he kind of saw I had an opportunity to be a solid athlete, you know, he would offer a bunch of his advice.
Advice-wise, or would he be there like helping you work out? Like how hands-on
advice-wise, was he? Yeah, advice-wise. If
telling you about the recruiting process.
Exactly. So like the recruiting process, he was, you know, he would call my dad or call me every, you know, 2 weeks or so just to check in and, you know, see how it's going, you know, asking. I wish I asked him more questions, you know, looking back on it now.
You probably didn't even know the questions to ask.
Exactly, and I didn't, you know, because my parents, you know, they didn't go to college. My mom went to Howard, but she didn't finish, and my dad went to the military from high school. So my sister was really the first person in our family to go to college beside my grandmother, who I don't think finished at Norfolk State either. So she was our first college grad in the family, and yeah, you know, there's a lot of questions we didn't know to ask as far as recruiting, and you know, we were just doing it the best way we could as far as just being good people and being polite to every coach that called. And because there were some schools I knew I wasn't going to go to, like Duke University offered my first scholarship. I was in 10th grade, and I knew it was exciting because I was like, okay, I know no matter what I can go to college.
Was Cutcliffe there?
No, not yet. It was Ted Roof at the
Okay.
time. And I went to their senior camp as a sophomore, and I got an offer like that day. Then the next day we went to Marshall and got another offer. So I had 2 in the bag, you know. And I was like, okay, well I know I can go to college for free. And so then as time went on, my name got more out there in the high school ranks and these, Rivals.com and Scout.com and all this kind of stuff.
So you were very heralded coming out of high school. You were
five-star recruit. Can't remember what number. I was in the top 5 as far as quarterbacks, maybe top 2.
Who were the other quarterbacks around the country that were big your year?
I went to Elite 11, which is a huge high school quarterback camp
In California.
They fly you out there for a week. You work out and all that good stuff, and it's more of a like a reality show now. I feel like they got they're sending kids home and
That's
stuff.
the first time I heard of it.
It's weird. It's weird.
Show.
It's not so much for like the kids. I feel like it's kind of more for like they want people to watch it on TV.
Yeah.
But anyways,
who was your year?
So
who
my
was
year, Andrew Luck, Blaine Gabbert, Mike Glennon, Ja'Cory Harris, Sean Renfree, Kyle Parker, who ended up playing baseball, Landry Jones, who still plays for the Steelers, Star Jackson. Who else, man? I think that's another kid named, I want to say last name was Winky, kid named Nate Chrisman. So it was a good group. I think like 6 of us made it to the NFL. Obviously,
so they got it right for the most part.
They definitely got it right. And they can tell, man. And some of those other guys that I named that didn't make it, I think it might have just been an injury, or we all could play. That was the thing. We all could play, and then pretty much every quarterback, beyond like 2004. I'm not sure when they started the Elite 11, but they pretty much had every like top tier quarterback that's in the NFL has gone through the Elite 11 ranks. So Russell Wilson, Tyrod Taylor, who else? Jameis. Pretty much every young quarterback that's playing, Matthew Stafford, all those guys have gone through it.
So you were a Parade All-American, Under Armour All-American. You played in that Under Armour game?
Yep, I was in the inaugural Under Armour game in Orlando, Florida.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was really cool. We were in the first one. This is when like Under Armour was really hot, had the uniforms, the helmets. Julio was on my team. AJ Green was on my team. Who else, man? It was literally a who's who.
Yeah.
It was really cool. And, at that time, we were all still kids, so it's really cool to see guys that I played with and that, still be playing in the league today, and it's pretty surreal when you see each other, after the games and stuff like that.
So when you were a kid, did you want to be a football player? What did you want to be? Because I remember I always wanted to be an athlete, but before I wanted to be an athlete, I wanted to be a trash man.
Okay.
I used to watch the trash men pick up the trash. I thought it was so cool they got to ride in the back of the truck.
Oh, yeah.
That was my first job I actually wanted to do.
Right.
So do you remember what your first job was you wanted to be?
I think my first job, beyond like an athlete, I wanted to be like an engineer. I wanted to like build stuff. So I can remember as a kid, I would like go to my grandmother's house for the summer with my sister Amber, and I would take all her pillows on her couch and like start making like little houses and little forts and whatnot. Yeah, I just had a real inkling for things like that. Or like my dad and I, we built like, say if my dad bought a shelf or like a TV stand, I would try to help him and fix it. And like I love working with tools and all that kind of stuff. And I think that's why I'm pretty handy now.
Mechanically inclined,
exactly. Like some people are not, and my dad was really one of those dads that were like, hey man, figure it out, read the instructions, that kind of thing, instead of doing it for me.
Myself and Peter Brady, we were not. I don't know if the Brady Bunch is a little before your time.
Nice. But yeah, there's a little bit before my time.
Mr. Martinelli told Peter he was not mechanically inclined.
Mr. Martinelli.
Yeah. So you wanted to be an engineer, but then as you got older, when did you realize you wanted to be a professional athlete?
So when I figured out what the NFL draft was on TV, in April every year, I can remember it come on for 3 days on ESPN. I remember Chris Berman getting up there talking about it. Mr. Jackson, those, that crew, that old ESPN crew, Chris Carter and those guys.
Chris Mortensen,
Ed Werder, all those kind of guys. Yeah,
John Clayton,
who's been doing it forever. Yeah, John Clayton
with his hidden ponytail.
That's hilarious.
Weren't you a better basketball player as a kid?
So as a kid, man, I was a better football player. I was good in both, actually. I think it was neck and neck up until I turned like 13.
Okay.
I was a standout basketball player as well. And actually, all those guys I listed that are from my area, we all played basketball against each other too. And every one of those guys could play basketball. In Virginia, man, you play football and basketball. So you went right from football season into basketball season. And if you didn't, you were kind of like, everybody kind of like, why don't you play ball? Whatever. So Yeah, man. I was a dual athlete up until like 14. I made a Boo Williams elite team, which is like our state, AAU team. We go around and travel and play different teams. And I made his elite team in the area. And that summer, I just told my dad, I was like, man, I prayed about it, and I want to just stick to football. I think football is my ticket.
Who else was on your AAU team? Do you remember anybody that we would recognize?
So I remember playing against some guys. I remember playing against Jimmy Butler. I want to say he played for a team called the Family.
Yeah.
Don't quote me on that, though, but I'm pretty sure.
Out of Houston?
Out of Detroit.
Oh, really?
Yeah, out of Detroit, I think. No, I'm sorry. Maybe, yeah, Detroit. Yep, Detroit. But on that team, man, nobody that you would know.
Okay.
I don't know of any guys that have really made it to the NBA. There's been a bunch of guys that made it to the NFL from my area. As far as lately, like NBA guys, and Kyle O'Quinn's a big one, but he's from New York. He just went to Norfolk State.
Right.
There was a kid named Vernon Macklin. He played in the NBA for a little bit. Remember that name?
Yep.
And there's another kid from Portsmouth who's younger than me. He's still playing. He plays for the Mavericks now. He went to Florida. I can't remember his name, though.
Oh, Finney Smith
yes,
or something?
Finney Smith.
Hyphenated name?
Yeah. Yep. Finney Smith. He's balling. He played at Florida in college. So, man, some guys, and I think in that area, you just want to use your talents to be able to take care of your family. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not so much, obviously men are ego-driven and we're all hard workers and we want to have respect as a ball player. But for me, man, like my main motivation was just to make sure that my family was straight at the end of the day.
I know that.
Yeah, at the end of the day.
Who were your favorite athletes as a kid? Who do you remember looking up to? Or?
So I was a huge Cowboys fan.
Really?
So I remember loving like Troy Aikman and Double Trouble, Emmitt Smith, Michael Irvin, those kind of guys. Probably at home, it might have been Allen Iverson at the time because AI.
He's a local guy.
Who's also a local guy. I don't know if I mentioned his name. Michael Vick's from there as well. I don't know how I forget those two main guys.
You're going to leave out plenty of people.
Yeah, it's a bunch of guys. And I apologize.
People.
There's so many people, man. But probably AI was one of like the guys I always looked up to. Obviously Michael Jordan, but I think AI because I remember like seeing him in person at his charity softball game out in Hampton, I want to say, when I was like 8 or 9. And, I think he pulled up in like a Rolls Royce or like a Bentley or something like that. And I just remember being like, man, I want to live that kind of life, you know what I mean? Be able to ride around like that. And it was cool,
Have you ever been in trouble?
Trouble? I haven't, man. I've been very fortunate. No arrests.
How many people can say that? Not many.
Yeah. It's crazy, man.
No suspensions in high school, college?
None. Yeah, had a very clean record as far as, getting in trouble. My dad and my mom did a great job of raising my sister and I, and keeping us out of harm's way. They didn't shelter us, but they made us aware of, the snare traps that were out there for you. You know what I mean? And whether it was girls or not getting your schoolwork done or drugs and drinking and all that kind of stuff, I didn't, bother with any of that.
I never really knew the answer to that question, even though I've known you for years, but I figured that was the answer just from knowing your character.
Yeah.
So I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
I know you don't get starstruck often. You meet a lot of people. But who have you met through all these years of being in the NFL and playing at Florida State who got you just like, wow, I can't believe I met this guy?
Man, as an athlete?
Anybody.
Dang, that's a tough one, bro. I can't really think of it, man.
While you're thinking of it, I have a funny story.
All right, go ahead.
So me and you were at the Weeknd concert.
Okay.
And this was recent. Saw the Weeknd perform, and we were in a little suite, a few of your teammates, and we're leaving the show, and there's a guy outside the room waiting. There he is.
Right.
Guy's pointing to EJ, and he tells his buddy, come over, there he is, EJ Manuel. And it's some guy we don't recognize with his friend, Ricky Henderson. Baseball's all-time steal leader, best leadoff hitter in MLB history. This guy's a legend. He played like 70 years of baseball, this guy. And he'll tell you he was the best.
Right.
This guy was so happy to meet EJ.
Yeah.
And I thought it was so cool.
Yeah.
Because I grew up watching Ricky play, and he's a little older than you, and I'm older than you. But
He's a lot older than
I
me,
just
but
kept
yeah.
telling EJ, tell your dad you met Ricky
Right,
Henderson.
right,
He's
right.
gonna think it's cool even
Yeah.
if you don't.
Right.
Because EJ didn't really
And
understand.
it wasn't that I didn't think it was cool. I think as an athlete, man, you know, I think I kind of look at it like, for example, I've met LeBron, I've met like I said, AI, I met Mike, Vic, guys who in my eyes are some of the
Those
best
were icons. They
iconic
were.
talents in sport, in professional sport in their own right.
They were.
They are. You know what I'm saying? So to me, you know, back then I got a little starstruck when I was younger. But I think once I actually I'm going to my 6th year in the NFL. So it's not that I don't get starstruck. It's just I kind of look at it differently now because I know that there's still normal guys just like you and I are. You know what I mean? But you
Absolutely.
still obviously have a huge respect for like a guy like Mr. Henderson's talents and things like that. But
He called him Mr. Henderson.
Mr.
Do you
Henderson.
see the difference, the
Well,
respect?
But see, that's the respect. You know, I'm not gonna call him Ricky. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh, Ricky calls himself Ricky.
right? Nah, exactly.
Ricky can run.
But yeah, I think it's a matter of respect, man. And I think you know, that's something that I work hard for, man. Like I just want respect. You know, when somebody speaks of EJ Manuel, whether it's about me as a character person or me as an athlete, me as a quarterback, I want somebody to have, you know, for lack of better words, as Birdman says, put some respect in my name. You know what I mean?
Sir.
So that's just the way I look at it.
So, getting back to your millennialness, since you are a millennial,
Yes.
and I'm not. You guys, you kids these days, you're into, you know, a lot of social media,
Yeah.
online dating, all types of stuff. What's the craziest thing somebody has ever DM'd you?
Somebody's ever DM'd me.
Whether it's a male, a female, could be a fan, could be a
Well,
woman that's trying to get at you,
Right.
anything.
Yeah. Surprisingly, man, I've gotten like videos of women doing compromising things.
Compromising.
You know what I mean? Like compromising things. And instantly I block it because for one, it's probably a fraud. It's probably somebody trying to set me up as far as to get me to dive in and be like, yo, what's good? Like, you know what I mean?
Senor Singlobo or
Yeah,
somebody.
you know what I mean? Can I jump in? Like, nah, I'm not a fool. So, you know, that's probably the craziest thing I've gotten in the DM, man. Like, I really don't get a whole lot of them.
Any funny ones? Like,
Yeah, I've gotten some funny ones. I've gotten a bunch of, you know, just like funny pictures of people thinking that they're cool, and I'm like, this is really weird.
Like
somebody in
males,
my jersey,
like men.
Yeah, guy and girls. Like just like I said, I've seen like there's been pictures like of women in my jerseys, like in compromising positions and all that kind of stuff. And like I said, like I'm just glad I'm not one of those guys who like falls for a trap like that, because I don't think anything necessarily good comes out of somebody just sending you that. There's a reason that they're doing that. But yeah, my DMs aren't too crazy. So, but by the way, EJ Manuel 3 is my Instagram and my Twitter, so you guys can follow me.
he's a decent follow.
I don't post that much, but when I do post, it's good content.
He's very fashion conscious.
Yes.
A lot of nice clothing pics, stuff
Yes,
like that.
Yes.
You can count on it.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah.
All right, so
Second career.
staying with Virginia Beach, Hampton Roads, there's some other people that are from there, and I want to know if you've met them.
Yeah.
We got Pusha T.
Of course. See, I've left out so many people like Pharrell, Missy Elliott.
So that's who I'm asking you about.
Yeah,
right now.
yeah,
I want
yeah.
to know what the music side.
So,
Pusha T
yep.
and Pharrell are huge. Missy.
Yes. Yeah, those three are huge in our area. Timberland.
Yep. He's also on the list here.
Yeah, Teddy Riley.
Have you met those guys?
I've only met Pusha T.
You played in the basketball game.
in Cam's summer shootout classic.
Cam Chancellor has a
He has
basketball game every summer that you play in.
every
right?
summer, and like a cookout for the community and all that kind of stuff. It's a great thing he does every Memorial Day weekend. But
Who's the best WNBA player you ever played
of
with?
course, Tisha Pinachero.
Exactly.
Who's also a legend, who I actually grew up watching at ODU. You know what I'm saying? I remember my dad taking my sister and I to ODU games.
Because your mom was working at ODU?
My mom, this is even before that. This
Okay.
is like, I might have been like 8 or 9.
Okay.
And we went, this is before they built like the Convocation Center. She would know what that is. The Ted Constant Convocation Center, which is like their new arena. This is when they played like in their old one. And I remember seeing this big picture of Tisha in there because we did all of our AAU games there. And so my dad took my sister and I to some ODU women's games. They were really good. They had a really famous coach that coached there for a long time. The men's were really good too. And obviously to see Tisha go into the WNBA, which had just started when I was like 8 or 9, which is when she had just left college, I'm assuming. So, Yeah, it's awesome.
Our next episode's with Tisha Penachero.
It's really nice.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Be sure to tell I said hello, man.
Absolutely.
It was really cool meeting her because she truly is like a 7'5" legend.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, big time. I mean, not just 7'5". I'm sure she's worldwide.
She's a WNBA legend.
Yeah. But for us,
worldwide women's basketball
growing
legend.
up though, man, like you knew who Tisha Penachero was coming from that area.
Couple other people. Another female star athlete, Gabby Douglas.
Gabby Douglas,
You ever met Gabby
also
Douglas?
from Virginia Beach. Never met her though.
Okay.
Yeah, she's probably the best athlete out of all of us.
Right.
To be real with you. You know what I mean? Like, considering what she did. But yeah, she's right from Virginia Beach as well.
Let's talk about something that a lot of NFL players don't like to talk about, concussions.
Mm-hmm.
I had several concussions in my life, and some of that's from football, and some of it's not from football.
Right.
But definitely something I'm concerned with, and I know as a football player you have to be concerned.
Yeah.
Have you had concussions in your life?
Yeah, I had one. One that I would actually truly diagnose as a concussion.
One for sure.
Yeah. We played University of Florida my senior year. It was senior night. We were winning. Not sure by how much. It was a close game, though. And a kid hit me. I was running, trying to cut to the right. I didn't see him. Hit me, clocked me in my head. Instantly blacked out. Ball shoots up in the air. You know, that typical look when everybody gets a concussion or gets a hard hit. And, that was – I remember I blacked out, I don't know for how long, maybe like 10 seconds. Laid there, got up, and then, I wasn't in pain, though. You know what I'm saying? I just kind of felt like, oh, crap, like I really got jolted. And so I was able to finish the game, but I know if that would have happened now –
You wouldn't have gone back
I wouldn't have been able to go. Well, it's not. I would have wanted to go back in.
Yeah, but they won't let you.
They wouldn't have let me because now there's so many precautions with concussions now that they don't play around with that stuff.
So as far as that goes, moving forward, how would you treat your children if you had some kids that wanted to play football?
Yeah, I honestly would. My son wants to play football one day. I don't have any kids yet, but if I have a son one day, I'm blessed to have a son. I'll support him. I'm obviously going to introduce him to other sports, though. Baseball, golf, basketball, beyond football, just so he has a chance to choose whatever he wants to do. But, if he wants to play football, I'm support him. It's a dangerous game, but it's not that dangerous. You just learn the game the right way and all that kind of stuff. And, it just sometimes in that league, those things happen. And not even just in the league. In Little League, you can get a concussion. So, I think they're building better equipment now, too. They're engineering better equipment now that, it'll kind of keep guys a little safer, keep your head a little more intact. Because the main thing, you just want to be able to remember stuff when you're 45. You know what I mean? Like, that's, I feel worse for, like, linemen. Guys who literally are banging their heads every single snap.
Collisions every play.
Every play. And, say it's an average of it's an average of 60 to 70 plays per game on defense and offense. So, you're looking at a lineman who's taking, 60 hits to his head 16 times a week. You know what I'm saying? Or 60 times a year, but for 16 weeks.
Yeah.
Add that up, that's a lot, So,
not to mention practice and preseason and
exactly,
playoff games.
Exactly. So it's not like that tempo is ever getting slowed down. I mean, it's full go every time. So, hopefully they continue to do some more research on it and are able to help us.
On a side note, EJ likes to collect soccer jerseys, and I was thinking whenever black people decide to play soccer, they'll probably take over U.S. soccer will take over the world
Easily.
It's just a matter of time.
And thank you, my good friend.
And I'm not a soccer fan.
You brought me a great jersey, a Juventus jersey. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Over in Rome.
From overseas, exactly. Yeah. So, really appreciate you for that. But yeah, man, I've always told people that I'm like, man, if our best athletes, and I'm not saying all of our best athletes are African American, but like say if you take the best athletes from track and field, the best athletes from the NBA, the best athletes from the MLB, the best athletes from the NFL, really the NFL, because you got guys who are fast, can run, can jump, can move, are quick, got good footwork already. Imagine some of those top cornerbacks playing soccer. You know what I mean?
Europe and South America, goodbye.
It's done. So, because not only are we bigger than most of those, European countries or South American countries, we're faster,
stronger,
and so yeah, I think that's what I'm saying. Like, I wouldn't mind my son playing something like that. You can get a concussion in soccer too, though. But
absolutely.
But still, I think it would be really cool to see that kind of transcend and change that culture, change a little bit, and I think it really just starts when we're young. It's so easy to just go outside and play basketball and football because that's what you see all your older friends doing. Not many kids want to go play soccer, black kids at least. And so if that would have changed though, man, I mean, it would be a generation of just top-notch talent playing soccer.
Let's talk some football. What's the best game you've had in your life where you just felt like you were almost in a zone?
Mm-hmm.
Like we've all, as an athlete, at some point in our career, we've just felt that special game.
I've had probably like 4 wow, this could possibly be like the best game I've ever played.
Stood out
that I still remember. But like the main one I remember is we played Clemson my senior year at Florida State.
Threw for 300, ran for 100.
Ran for 100, yep. I think I threw for like 370 or 360 and ran for like 108 or 110 or something like that. And could have been more. But, I remember that game. It was, we were probably ranked top 5. Clemson was ranked top 5. It was a huge showdown. They had Sammy Watkins, Martavis Bryant, Taj Boyd, who's also from Virginia Beach, by the way. Forgot to mention him. And Hopkins, Nuke Hopkins. You know what I mean? So, like, all-stars. And the running back was Andre Ellington.
Yeah.
Tight end was he was actually playing in the Super Bowl.
All NFL guys.
Dwayne Allen. So defense had all kind of NFL guys. So great game. It felt like an NFL tempo game. I just was able to get in the zone and the game was tight the whole way. And don't get me wrong, we had plenty of NFL guys on my team too, But I did feel like I was in the zone. I felt in so control of that game that whatever I did, whenever the ball left my fingertips, it was going to the receiver.
If I remember correctly, you were the first Florida State quarterback to put up numbers like that since Charlie Ward. Mm-hmm. And Charlie Ward was, when I was a
One
kid,
of the greats.
Man, he was amazing.
Yep.
Who's the best wide receiver you've ever thrown to? And I mean...
In a game or just in like...
I guess I mean in a game because I want to know... When you threw the ball up, he's coming down with it.
Yeah, that's tough.
No
man.
knocks on anybody.
Right. Yeah.
But I had a kid in high school.
Right.
I grew up with him. He knows who he is. He goes by the name of the King.
Yeah.
You throw that thing up, he's catching it.
Coming down.
Doesn't matter.
I played with some great ones, man. A guy like Sammy Watkins, early on in his career when he got drafted to Buffalo my second year, amazing. I remember I could just literally put the ball within 3 feet circumference of his body, and he was coming down with the catch.
So his hands mixed with his athletic ability.
Exactly. You got a guy like Michael Crabtree, who is someone who wants to block all the time. You know what I mean? And Amari Cooper's great too, and Seth Roberts. We had and Cordell Patterson, and Jared Cook. You know what I mean? We all got like great players, but it's hard to narrow that down, man. Like I don't want to slight anybody, and I'm not trying to be nice. I really just can't say who's that one person that if I throw the rock up, he's gonna come down with it. I mean, even my good friends like Marquise Goodwin and Robert Woods, those guys would do the same thing. So,
I'm gonna ask you this question after your career.
Yeah.
These questions are
I
tough.
could probably, It's hard to say now.
What do you think's the most difficult thing you've had to deal with in your career? You've had a lot of setbacks, whether it was getting benched or injuries. Your mom had breast cancer, media criticism. I can think of a few things. I don't know. What was the toughest thing for you to really bounce back from?
Man, the toughest thing to bounce back from is probably when I got benched. I think was poorly timed. It wasn't the right decision. It wasn't the right thing to do. I think if I were a coach for a young second-year QB that got drafted in the first round, that had talent, that had the ability, I would have sat him down and just had a face-to-face conversation with him and said, listen, this is what I need from you, and this is how you can get to it. Instead of just saying, hey, we want you to learn from this guy who was a 9-10 year vet or whatever. And the team, literally, we still had the same record that we had the year before, still didn't go to the playoffs. So it's like you guys make a change like that and you get the same result, right? So I would have thought you would just let a second-year guy continue to like grow and learn. And it's not like I always played bad. I had 2 great games at first. We beat Chicago in Chicago. We beat the Miami Dolphins. Then we lost to the Chargers. Then we lost to Houston. So I think getting benched was probably like the first time I really felt like true adversity in all of sports. I've always been
You've probably
top
never failed
dog,
in sports.
Never failed. And even I don't even look at it as a failure, man. I think it's something that I look at as a true learning experience, and I'm glad I've gone through it now because I'm at such a happy place and a peaceful place, whether it's in my life or in sports or in relationships or anything. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't have any more, frustration, and if I do, I use it as a tool to push me forward because it's like I've gone through, barring any injuries, and I have gone through injuries, and I think that partly led to the decision and how my play was, because I wasn't fully healthy yet. I was dealing with an injury. I had a growing injury that year too that was killing me, and I got surgery on that after my second year that a lot of people don't know about.
I don't even think I knew about it.
Yeah, I had got surgery after that season. I had tore an abdomen in my lower left abdomen, which is where you turn to throw.
Yeah.
And it burned every single time I went to throw. And people don't know it, but people also don't care.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So to answer your question, that was probably the hardest thing I had to get over. I think it was going from being the starter, going to being a backup, going into the game, knowing that I wasn't going to play, going into a game, because I was a first-round pick. So then I'm starting to hear rumbles from media or fans and people on Instagram talking trash. And, again, like I'm very big on I just want people to respect me.
He's a bust and things like
yeah,
that. When you actually had a good rookie year.
I had
People
a very,
forget
very good rookie year.
very quickly you had a good rookie year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then people forget anything. It's a very much what have you done for me lately kind of league. And, I had a bunch of things at a time where I wanted to blame it on this, blame it on that. But at the end of the day, I also look at it as it was just circumstances. And in life, you're going to have circumstances that don't always go in your favor. That was one of them that did not go in my favor. And the biggest thing I learned from that experience, though, is to not allow that to affect who I am as a person or to affect who I am to family or to friends. You know what I mean? Like, I think it kind of pushed me away from relationships and friendships and made me, almost become more guarded because I didn't know who I could trust.
Keep to yourself.
Yeah, I didn't know who I could trust.
Right.
And that's not who I am. Like, I'm a very loving and open person. So, looking back on it, it definitely did set me back. I think it set me back in my career a little bit as far as the perception, which is, I was always told perception is reality, and especially in that league, because if, one team thinks this is how you are, another team will think it too. And so, I've kind of been battling against that, but, thankfully I've been able to stay in the race, and I think that's the most important thing. You stay in the race, and you just keep moving forward.
I appreciate you being candid.
No doubt. Oh, yeah. No doubt.
Let's talk about some fun stuff during the recruiting process.
Mm-hmm.
So how did you end up at FSU? Like, why them over? Because you were offered
I had 51 scholarship offers. So if I didn't go to LSU, I would have went to – I'm sorry, if I didn't go to FSU, I would have went to LSU.
Good thing you didn't. They don't do a good job developing
They don't, but I would have thrown to, like, Odell. I would have thrown to Jarvis. I'd have thrown to some ballers.
That's
you know
true,
what I'm saying?
That's true. Maybe they just don't have the right quarterback.
Yeah, or maybe it's just the right teacher. I think if that team had a quarterback, they would have won the national championship back then. But the recruiting process was fun, man. Like I said, going back on it, like when my son goes through it, I'll know what kind of questions to ask. I'll know what kind of visits to take. I'll know when to take the visits.
What's important that you want.
What's
in each
important
school.
to see. Like, I'm going to take him to the meeting rooms. I'm going to take him to practice. I'm going to take him to the weight room. I want to see how the weight room coach interacts with the guys. I want to see how it is where you go to eat. I want to see how it is when you go to class. I want to see how the class checkers are. Like, I want to see everything.
What schools did you make your official visits to?
So I only took one official visit because I committed early to Florida State.
Okay.
And so my dad, basically said, if you've already committed to a team, hold your commitment and don't,
keep
take
your word.
To keep your word. But looking back on it in retrospect, I wish I had taken 4 of those visits. 1, because it's free, and I earned that, and then 2, it's like, why not? You know what I mean? Like, I didn't owe FSU anything at the time. Like, they recruited me and they wanted me, but trust and believe, if there was something that I didn't do right, or they would have taken my scholarship back like anybody else. So,
sure.
That's another thing I've learned, man. You don't owe anybody anything. Like, all you owe is things to yourself and to the people that care about you and that love you. And that's, just do your best.
Now, you don't have to drop a dime on anybody.
Yeah.
But during the process, were you ever offered any gifts?
I was not. That's one thing that, I know that does occur. But anyone who meets my family, they know that we're not going to be even.
You're not.
Don't get me wrong. It would have been nice. You know what I mean? And we had, a school or two that might have hinted at it, but my dad shut that down as soon as it got tossed up to us.
On your recruiting trip, were females thrown at you?
No. Not out of the ordinary. No females with
Not
throne.
like organized.
Nah,
Like we're gonna.
Nah. Actually, Myron Rowe is one of my great friends now. Rhodes
Dr.
Scholar,
Rowe.
doctor, NFL, ex-NFL player, All-American, everything, right?
Actually, I'd like to get him on the pod. I might
Yeah,
have to
I
have you
get
hit
you.
him up.
Yeah, great guy.
When
Great
I'm
guy
up
to
in
talk
Boston,
to.
I'll get.
Great
I'll
guy
get
to
up
talk
with
to. I was literally talking to him earlier today.
Cool.
Might have just texted me, but anyways, yeah. So Myron was my host, and I remember him. He literally was like the first person to take me to like an actual party. Like I went to like teen clubs and stuff back in Virginia Beach at high school, but it's like my first time going to like an actual college party. He was a captain in college, so we went to like a frat party. It was really cool. Good experience.
When I name these quarterbacks, tell me one thing that separates them from the rest.
Okay.
Like we know they're all great, but what is it that maybe sets each of them apart? Maybe even if it's one word. Tom Brady,
The GOAT.
Aaron Rodgers,
Cannon.
Drew Brees,
Precision.
Russell Wilson,
Dynamic.
Cam Newton.
Close to unstoppable.
He gets 3 words.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know how to put that in one concise word, but yeah, Cam has literally all the tools to be as good as he wants to be.
So trash talking has always been a big part of the NBA. Everyone talks about who's the best at it. The NFL, they show some of that stuff on the mic'd up, which is great.
Yeah.
The more mic'd up, the better. Who's the best at talking trash, or who have you seen? What are some things you've heard?
Oh, man.
Things that made you laugh.
Easily Nigel Bradham, who's also playing in the Super Bowl this
Florida
year.
State guy.
Florida State teammate, came in college 2008 together. Brother, known him for like a long time, 10 years now. So he probably... So when I got to FSU, man, like I had my own swag and my own confidence and whatnot. But when I got there amongst those other guys, like we just had such a tenacity and such a nastiness about ourselves that like we would get off the bus and we already felt like we were going to win the game. So trash talking is like kind of a byproduct of who and what we were. Another guy, Vince Williams, who also played linebacker, plays for Pittsburgh, had a great season this year. Major trash talk. Telvin Smith, another linebacker.
They make you laugh or they make you cry?
Well, they wouldn't talk trash to me.
No, not you.
Yeah,
Will
yeah,
they
yeah.
make the
Somebody
opponent
else?
laugh or cry?
I don't know. It won't make them laugh or cry. I think it'll just put that fear in their
But
heart.
they're doing it to intimidate.
No question.
Okay.
And also just to have fun themselves.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily know
Motivate themselves.
if they care if it intimidates the guy because they're going to do what they do regardless, right? But I think they look at it as like this is kind of how they get themselves going, get their energy up, and then get their teammates to get their energy up too.
Yep. Have you heard anybody on the field cross the line, say something crazy?
Oh, yeah. I've heard N-words from people who shouldn't be saying the N-word.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you hear all kind of stuff, man. And, I've gotten some of it myself from guys who I thought I was cool with, who talk trash to me. Like, man, we don't. Yeah. You get it all. But like I said, once you cross those white lines.
But there's like certain things they can say that's just like, oh, it's within the
No
game.
doubt.
But there's
No
certain
doubt.
things that it's kind of like
No
real.
doubt. Yeah, no question. And, I personally don't take it. I take it with a grain of salt like everything else because that's not what really concerns me. I don't care what somebody has to say. Because just like you saying it to me, I'm going to say it right back to you, and I want to beat your head in as well, so I could care less.
You ever had anybody sack you and say something funny?
I remember I didn't get sacked, but we were beating the Ravens, again, my rookie year, first rookie quarterback to beat the defending Super Bowl champs, the Ravens, Baltimore Ravens, my rookie year. People forget that too, right? Beat them and literally had the same exact team. But anyways,
That's a good accomplishment.
To the past. It's a huge accomplishment. But anyways, that was my second victory in my career, and I go to take a knee, and Terrell Suggs, I was kind of like trying to draw out the clock a little bit.
T-sizzle.
Yeah, so I took my time to take a knee, and he comes around the edge. Nobody blocked him, rips my helmet off. And I just remember him saying, like, you better get down faster or whatever. And it's funny, I started versus Baltimore this past year. And, he had a chance to sack me, but I had got the ball out of my hands, and he let up and let me go. And I think that was like him showing respect, you know what I'm saying?
Because you're a vet now.
And I'm a vet now. I'm not a rookie anymore, that kind of thing. So it was cool.
Are you surprised Colin Kaepernick is not on an NFL team right now? I know you consider him a friend.
No doubt. Yeah, Cap's a
him.
great friend of mine, and I respect what he's doing as well. And I am surprised because there's definitely room for Cap, whether it's a backup role or anything. You know what I'm saying? It's really mind-boggling that he still hasn't gotten a position, and we all can say, oh, it's because of this, it's because of that. Like, it's obvious as to why. He's doing a peaceful protest. He's doing something that he believes in, something that, he's not doing it for himself. He's doing it for, instead of like being the person that just talks about it, I feel like Cap really is being that person who's doing something about it. And it is, unfortunate that, he hasn't been able to, he missed an entire season because of it, and possibly his career. So, yeah.
The craziest thing, or I'll delete that. The proof of how ridiculous it is, number one, he's definitely better than a good percentage of the backups in the league. Mm-hmm. We already know that. He's a borderline starter. Mm-hmm. And for a team to take him on would be a great PR move. And they don't even see that. They think it's more of a hassle, and they don't want to deal with the blowback from it. And it's actually a really good PR move if they were to do it.
Right.
What's the most ignorant thing a fan has ever said to you?
Oh, man.
Could be at a game, could be in person.
During the game, you get all kinds of stuff from fans, man. And
it's got to make you laugh sometimes.
It does make you laugh, and sometimes you got to laugh, though, because if you don't laugh, it'll really make you mad. You know what I mean? Because you just have people legit making blasphemous comments, whether it's about your girl, about your mom, about how you look, anything, right? They just want to really get you off. Fans, especially like opposing teams fans, they want to feel like they impact the game. So their only way to impact the game is to talk trash. They can't go out there and play, because otherwise if they could play, they'd be playing. But, all the Instagram and Twitter trolls, and those are the people who most of the time go to the games and can afford a ticket and all that kind of stuff.
I've seen you shut your comments off on Instagram.
Yeah, I did for a good amount of time, because it wasn't so much because I was worried about negative stuff. Because for every negative comment I got 13 positive ones, right? But my thing was, I didn't want people to even have a chance to comment.
Well, it's tough for a guy like me when I'm trying to say, oh, you got a nice suit on, bro. And I can't even read that comment.
And you could tell me that personally, though.
I guess.
You know what I mean? So
it was tough, though.
But you know what? I grew up to the point where I was like, you know what? I'm not going to allow anyone beside me dictate what I do. So, I said, if somebody wants to write a nasty comment, that's fine. You know what I mean? I hope that made your day feel better by you saying something to me that, one, I probably won't read. I don't go through my comments. So when I do get comments, I never read them. It sounds like you probably will go through them and read them. But, like, I personally never go.
Well, I don't get thousands of comments either.
Exactly.
It's pretty easy for me to read them when there's two.
But that's the thing. Like, I don't care. You know what I'm saying? So, like, even if I get 3 or 4 comments, I'm not going to go through and look at it. You know what I mean? Like, nobody that, honestly, if beside a friend, nobody that's commenting. And, again, I say this with a grain of salt, is like, if it's not positive and it's negative, I really don't care, because I'm going to dictate what I want my feelings to be like. You know what I'm saying? Like, even if I have, I feel like a lot of times people always focus on the negative, man. Like, I think I had to learn to start focusing on positive. Like, there was still a lot of people that rooted for me, a lot of people that didn't agree with Marone benching me, a lot of people that said, man, your numbers are just as good as every other rookie quarterback that turned into being a great quarterback. So, I had to start looking at it that way instead of listening to the 13-year-old at lunch talking crap, saying like, oh, you suck, or you're a bust, or you're a bum, or you're this and that.
You can picture him in the cafeteria at his school.
You already know, and they're just sitting around their boys. And really what they want, man, they want you to respond. They want to say like, oh, he tweeted me back, or oh, he messaged me back.
That's the closest they can get to meeting
to
you.
Actually having some access, right? And so, as corny as that is, I'm not going to give them that power. And if anything, I just block you. You know what I mean? You don't need to be on my page anyways.
I would say my best advice, not that you asked for it, is to not get too caught up in the good stuff or the bad stuff. Correct. Because all of it's kind of nonsense and useless.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. I mean,
people could tell you you're the greatest thing ever. It doesn't mean anything.
Doesn't mean a hill of beans, man. Like, that's an old saying. It's just, you don't get too high or get too low, and then also you don't read the good if you don't want to read the bads. So I appreciate that.
Do you hate anybody?
No.
You believe in God.
Mm-hmm.
I already know that.
Mm-hmm.
You pray.
All the time.
What do you pray for?
I pray for clarity. I pray for the just to have peace in my life, man. I don't pray for possessions. I don't pray for things. I don't pray for, and I pray for my people, my family, my loved ones. But I don't pray for, Lord, I want a new Mercedes, or Lord, I want a new car or a new house. Like, I don't pray for those things. Like, I pray for my people, the people I love, and honestly, I just pray for peace. You know what I mean? Like, so where I can just go to sleep at night and know that I don't have any beef with anybody. I don't owe anybody anything. I've been blessed enough to not have to look over my shoulder.
Wait. What about when we shot foul shots that day? You owe me a couple bucks.
Do I still owe you from that? I thought I paid you back.
It's debatable.
Okay. That's like
debatable.
Yeah, that was 2 years ago. You hustled me too. Definitely hustled me. But yeah, I mean, God is huge in my life, man. I've been, a Christian ever since, I was like 9 years old, man. So it's not easy. It's not an easy life to live because you still want to do certain things, and that kind of stuff. You want to live your life as a young man. But at the end of the day, you got younger kids that are looking up to you and that, are really watching your example. So I take that very seriously.
You ever pray for me?
All the time, man. With my loved ones, bro.
Appreciate you.
Like a brother, man.
Appreciate you.
No doubt.
So you've been working on getting your MBA at University of Miami.
Yes.
It's great to see a Seminole shed his, what color is that? Garnet and gold?
Garnet and gold.
Shed the garnet and
orange
gold.
And green.
For the orange and green of the Hurricanes.
Yeah. It's funny. I was on campus, and I remember a kid, and I was getting lunch, and the kid was like, EJ Manuel? I was like, yeah. And he was like, what you doing here, man? Blah, blah, blah. And kind of started smiling. I was like, I'm just getting my education like you, bro. And, one of my teammates, Jonathan Feliciano, he'll love this. He always talks about FSU, UM
football
alum,
guy.
Right? And so I told him, hey, man, I can go walk on your campus anytime. I'm undefeated against the Hurricanes. The Hurricanes have never beat me.
And you started
once again,
2 against the
three.
Three?
Damn. Started 3 versus UM.
You
3-0.
beat them all 3?
Yep. Never beat me. So
yeah, this year was the first time we beat you guys in years.
In a long time. So, yep. 2-0 at Miami and 1-0 in Tallahassee.
So you're part of the Athletes and Artists MBA program. A lot of current and retired NFL guys. I know Timbaland was involved in the program. A-Rod. Tell me about that experience.
Yeah, so that experience has been very worthwhile, man, and getting a chance to learn from entrepreneurs and CEOs and business people, because a lot of times as athletes we spend so much time, honing our skills, whether it's football, baseball, basketball, whatever. You don't really get a chance to learn that other side of life, which is business and entrepreneurship and, ownership. So it's been a great program, and I'm really happy that, I was able to be a part of it.
That's great. They're showing you guys what to do with your money. Where do you see yourself after your NFL career?
The cool thing about me, man, is I'm very versatile. So I can see myself, being an entrepreneur. I can see myself being a broadcaster. I can see myself being a sportscaster. And yes, those are 2 different things. I can see myself doing this with you. Having a podcast of our own, like a show. Interviewing other young athletes or other young phenoms or whatever that may be.
Stay tuned,
for the future. But I can see myself doing I can see myself coaching. I can see myself getting into the fashion industry. I can see myself getting into the med tech industry. Got a bunch of contacts in that, something that interests me. So, I leave all doors open, man. I never burn any bridges, and I try to network as much as possible with other like-minded and good people that, want to help others and, help change the world.
You're on death row. I ask all my guests this.
Yeah.
Which has been, you're the 3rd.
Okay. Number 3, that makes sense.
Yep.
Perfect.
Number 3.
Yep, number 3. Trey.
You're on death row. You get 1 meal. Last meal of your life. What are you ordering?
I get dessert too?
Yeah, you get dessert and you get a drink.
Okay. So to start as a drink, I'm going to get lemonade. Love lemonade with ice. Light on the ice, actually. For my meal, my meat's gonna be
Pause.
Definitely a pause. You can cut that out.
You even pause on death row.
The meat food that I would choose is of course fried chicken. That's a no-brainer. My side would probably be my mother's macaroni and cheese. The other side would either be a toss-up between potato salad or
Collards? I just love collard
I love
greens.
collards, but it's gonna have to be potato salad or yams. Like from my grandma's, one of my grandmas, Grandma Eleanor, Grandma Pearl. One of them can make it. They both make delicious food. And my dessert is definitely my dad's sweet potato pie.
Really?
And then do what you got to do.
Well, then I think you should get rid of the yams as a side dish and then go with the dad's sweet potato
sweet
pie
potatoes,
and then throw in something else.
Sweet potatoes are probably my favorite food to eat.
I love sweet potatoes.
Yeah, and they're healthy, you know, if you eat them the right way. But
Yes,
the way we eat
Not
them,
that way.
Yeah, the way we hook them up in the healthiest. But yeah, you know, we that's one of the things I was raised on, man. So like ever since I've been a little kid, I've always like taken down as many sweet potato pies as I could.
That leads me to the next question. It's kind of off track. Where are your parents from? I'm pretty sure they're from Virginia, Norfolk.
My parents are both from Norfolk, Virginia. Both went to Booker T. Washington High School, in Norfolk, Virginia. My grandparents went there too. So in Virginia, you know, schools are segregated. It's the South, so
they didn't have too many options of schools to go to.
Exactly. Like if you lived in that part of the city, you went to one high school as a black person, as a black kid. If not, they bust you across town and some other school, right? And so my parents met in 10th grade, been dating and together ever since. So I think they've been married for 31 years now. Got a great family. Got an older sister. Her name is Amber. She played college basketball at High Point University.
I had a friend that was coaching there.
Yeah, yep. She played basketball. She was a standout basketball player before me. So she's 3.5 years older than me. So a lot of things I learned as an athlete, I learned from her. My toughness and everything really came from my sister. Her beat me up in like the front yard and all that kind of stuff in basketball. And then once I turned like 13, I started beating her all the time and whatnot. So, you know, it was really fun growing up, man. And, you know, she has a daughter now. Her name is Autumn. And she's my niece. So, you know, whether she wants to play sports or not, doesn't matter. But, you know, I'm always going to be there for her.
Last question.
Yeah.
Top 5.
Mm-hmm.
Top 5 rappers of all time.
Top 5 rappers in no specific order.
No particular order.
Okay. Drake for sure goes up there.
Such a millennial answer.
I gotta put Biggie Smalls up there. I gotta put Jay-Z up there. I gotta put, and this is gonna be a surprise, Kendrick Lamar.
That's what we want. We want the truth.
I gotta put Kendrick Lamar up there.
That's 4.
And the 5th, and this is a toss-up because there's probably like 4 or 5 other guys. You can go with Snoop. You could go with Tupac. You could go with Nas. You could go with, you know, guys from the South.
Any Virginia Beach love?
You could go with Pusha.
Because Pusha, you know,
and
Pusha's
you could,
on my list.
and I love Push. But if I gotta choose a 5th guy, man, for me personally, like growing up, I love Lil Wayne. And this is like from like Carter 1, Carter 2.
I mean, he's easily
as far as lyrics, bro, like lyrics and his sound back in like 2000, 2001, 2002, like was to me amazing. So that's my top 5. You know, of course, I got love for all my, you know, artists that come from where I come from, but you know, Push will be right on the edge of that.
That's it for this time, EJ. We're definitely gonna have you back, if not as a guest, but as a host. Mm-hmm. And I appreciate your time.
Thank you, man. It's been great, and you know I'm always here for you. I think this is a really cool thing you got going on, man. So appreciate you.
Thanks, man. We gotta get some work in. Hundo Health and Fitness time.
I'm always ready, bro.
Let's go.
That's it for episode 3 of Keeping It a Hundo. My guest was EJ Manuel. Thanks for listening. If anybody has any questions for EJ or any of my guests, feel free to message me on Instagram at MattyHundo. Please continue to download and subscribe to Keeping It a Hundo. You can find it on the Apple Podcast app. Also, rate and review. It only takes a few seconds. Leave me a short comment. I don't care what it says. It could be, I remember playing Saugust on Saturday, or something about throwing things at Mr. Flanders in English class, or maybe we got in a fight at the Wellness Center. I don't care what you write, but it's important to keep this thing going. And feel free to share it with your friends on social media. I'd like to give a shout out to some of you who did that for me already. Ken Kniff, Jess Dog, Amy B. Bent, Jeff McBurney, Andre Dawson. The list goes on. If you don't have an iPhone or an Apple product, you can find Keeping It a Hundo on Google Play Music or SoundCloud. Next week, retired Wnba legend Tisha Pinachero will be my guest. So until then,
keep it 100.